Hello and welcome to PM Express. My name is Nana Ansakwa, the fourth. One may ask, why have you said the fourth today? Well, today we are looking at an industry. We're looking at an industry which I am very much of a part of. But for the purposes of this interview, I'm not going to be a chief for the next 1 hour, and then I'll become a chief after the 1 hour. You see, a tradition as old as time, nestled in the modern hearts of our existence, rich in culture, values, and the ways of our people. Today we examine the relevance of chieftancy in modern times. We will look at how things work in collaboration with the local governance and development equation. Also, we will take a cursory look at the conflicts in the past, which are associated and motivated by chieftancy, and even sometimes politics. Some people are also calling for a scrap of the system. So let us ask if our local governance structure is, as it stands, can really send development to the grassroots. There are some chiefs who have been great agents of change in their communities, and today we are going to do that comparison. With me in the studio is the Dean of Studies and Research of the Institute of Local Government Studies, Mr. Eric Odro Osai. Eric, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
Joining us on the phone later will be Nana Semenshia, who is Jaswa Hene of Akwemu Fie. And then there's Felix Longi, a sociology lecturer at UDS, who's done extensive research into this industry. We just really need to find out, should we scrap it? Because it's too old-fashioned, an institution that selects their rulers through bloodlines, very unsympathetic toward people who are living with disability. Oh no, you're not going to be the chief because you're living with a disability. In this day and age, is it important? And then also we can look at it and say, should we modernize it and keep it because it is who we are? But I don't have the answers. And I'm going to talk to Eric. Eric, is it too old and not relevant and that, let's just be done with it and just take lots of assemblymen and DCEs and be done with it?
Thank you, Nana, and good evening to your viewers. Nana, I would say that we shouldn't scrap it. When you look at the institution, it has been with us from pre-colonial period, colonial period. We are in the post-independence era. What we need to do is to actually come to the realization that as a nation we're developing, as a world we're developing, and we need to also review and develop our customs, values, and practices so that it will be relevant to modern times. Post-independence chieftaincy or traditional institutional practices should be distinguished from the way they operated during pre-colonial and even colonial periods. That is the angle that we are not exploring. If we are able to explore and then modernize and review practices and processes in such a way that it would match with modern day or contemporary practices in development, it will be very, very relevant. It is one of the institutions that has stood the test of time, because we've gone through a lot of political, economic, and social upheavals in our country. Most institutions have fallen by the wayside, but you agree with me that chieftaincy or the traditional institutions still stands, except that we need a little bit of modification.
Wow. The other thing I want to find out in the local government side of it. Now, once upon a time, the chief wielded a lot of power, judicial powers, economic powers, and even maybe political powers within the confinement. And economic power was taken away, judicial powers was taken away, and he's practically left with his kente cloth. I mean, what can he do with his cloth, with all these powers stripped of him? Nana,
in our system, legal system, I believe chiefs have been part of the process from day one. Come to talk of the Consultative Assembly that drafted the 1992 Constitution. They were ably represented. You quite remember the then China P.O.P. Roland Ayajitam was an active part of that particular assembly, and they drafted it and make a provision in it which enshrine and guarantee chieftaincy institution. When you look at the National House, the Council of State. Council of State, the President of the National House of Chiefs is represented on the Council of State. They advise the President on how the President should even govern this country. They give him wise counsel. When you look at the regional coordinating councils, the regional coordinating council have 2 chiefs there. The purpose is for them to bring to bear the relevant customary practices required for the purpose of development at the regional level. You look at the district assemblies, the chiefs are expected to be consulted by the President in appointing the 1/3 majority or 1/3 members of the local government. So they are involved at every stage. When you look at the Constitution, again, when we were reviewing the 1992 Constitution, the Constitution Review Commission that was set up also included traditional authority. In fact, they were represented by the paramount chief of Kumbungu, Na Idrisu Abu. So you realize that we have created a space for traditional institutions, for the chieftaincy institutions, to grow with our development. But unfortunately, it looks as if that particular growth has not matched as expected. And that is where we need to really work on.
I do understand, but haven't we become too ceremonial? And indeed, is that not the reason why maybe I'd say the modern Ghanaian cannot connect with the relevance because of that, all those powers that are taken? Because now you just become ceremonial. Oh, be part of that decision, but you yourself, you don't actually wield that power. So the modern Ghanaian cannot connect.
I would agree with you, Nana. But what we need to do is that chieftaincy and then chiefs and traditional authorities would also have to modernize chieftaincy. They need to modernize it because you realize that those chiefs who are able to modernize their institutions, they are able to fit into society. You have good chiefs. We have some chiefs who are bringing development, who are creating scholarship funds. Some are wooing investors. Some serve on boards. Some serve on schools, etc. They are doing all kinds of things. What we need to do as a nation is call on all the structures of the chieftaincy institutions to initiate the move towards modernizing chieftaincy to be relevant to contemporary development. Recently, the President of the National House of Chiefs, together with members of the National House of Chiefs, developed a royal code of ethics. What for? To regulate the behavior of chiefs. Fine, it is a good step, but that royal code of ethics is not biting enough because the only sanction in the royal code of ethics is that if a chief misbehaves, that chief will be called and then given wise counsel. What constitutes wise counsel in this case? So what I'm saying is that we need to modernize it. And if we are able to modernize it and it matches with modern trends in development, they will continue to be relevant. It's an aspect of our system we should never throw away.
Eric, so in this case, do we add it to educational curriculum? Or do we find an institution where once you're elected as a chief, you need to go and do 6 months before you come back and sit on your throne?
Now, interestingly, I would say that we should add it to our educational curricula. I know that the religious and moral education, social studies of our preschool JSS, they learn chieftaincy. But I also know that the Ministry of Local Government started doing something. We started conceptualizing an idea we call Royal College, where as soon as you are elected and installed as a chief, we may want you to come to the institute where we have the Royal College. We'll walk you through certain basics of how to modernize your ruling in such a way that you'll be relevant to society or match with contemporary society. So, and I know that other areas, other schools and schemes are doing the same for their would-be chiefs. We should modernize it. The bottom line is we cannot continue to operate as we have operated in the 14th century, 15th century, 19th century. We are in the 21st century.
The other thing which I think one hurdle that chieftaincy faces is maybe I say modern Christianity. Because you go to like the Presbyterian, the Catholics, the Methodists, they are okay with you being a chief. But when you go to the charismatic church, they frown against you being a chief. So all the congregation, and they have a large congregation,
they do,
frown against you being a chief because you're then not quite very godly according to them. So then you have all these hurdles, to go through. I mean, so modernization, How do we do? Where do
we draw the line?
Yeah.
No, you see, when it comes to religion, and it's rather unfortunate that other people in other religions sees people or chiefs as non-religious. I mean, religion is very broad. We can't go into that debate. But you believe in God, this person also has his God that he believes in. And so we need to coexist. If we've chosen the path of democracy, what it means is that we need to coexist. You coexist with the person, this is what the person believes, because you cannot sit on anybody's happiness. The person is a chief. You are saying that the Orthodox churches accept it. Why can't the charismatic churches? It means there is something wrong down there. We need to do orientation, we need to do awareness raising to bring the two parties together. We need each other for development. So we cannot continue to say that this person is a chief. The person worships something that we don't accept in this our church, so we don't need that person. We need that person. Because if you are a church and you need a church building, the land belongs to a chief. And definitely the chief will give you the land, and the chief will tell you that this land, before you develop, we need to pour libation. Are you going to say that you will not allow the libation to be poured? In certain cases, they will allow it to be poured. People are in these charismatic churches, they go to marry. You marry, customary marry, they will tell you that you need to bring schnapps. Are you going to say that it's against your religion, so you're not going to produce the schnapps? These are the basic things about our customs and tradition that we need to modernize. Once we are able to do that, we'll make significant progress. One thing that is drawing us back as Africans or as third world countries, as these basic things that we don't want to modify. Society is developing and is growing. It's about time we come to the realization that we need to modernize.
I'll try not to be, biased, but I need to throw in this that, anytime somebody is against, me being a traditional ruler, I say, you know what? If I was the lightest king and I was called David, you would accept me. Just because I speak Tree and I'm a bit dark, you don't accept me that I'm being a chief. Aren't we all traditional rulers in one way or the other? But I have on the phone Nana Semenshia, who's a Jaswa Hene of Akwemufie. Now, I want to find out with succession of chiefs. We have 3 gates, they have 4 gates, and that's where most of the conflict will generate from. Because this gate says it's our turn, that gate says it's our turn, and it always causes a problem. And can we develop a system where it is set in stone and written so that we all have an understanding? Or there's this notion that no, as far as the black stool is concerned, especially the paramountcy, you need to fight for it, because that is what brings the importance of the stool. Just there for, this guy is going to take it or he is going to take it. You need to fight for it. But in modern times, it is still relevant. Welcome to the show, Nana Semenshia.
Thank you very much, Nana.
Nana Semenshia, we are looking at chieftaincy, governance, and the conflicts that surrounds it. And I have Eric in the studio, and we're looking at the governance side, where chiefs can play. But I want you to, explain to us, they say, this family have got, 3 gates and 2 gates, and there's always a conflict. And recently, you look at Teshi, there are 3 gates. Apparently, it's all been settled, but still, when they went to, find a chief, all hell broke loose. Can we document these things to stop the conflict, or the conflicts are part of the excitement?
I don't think it is necessary for us to fight to be kings or chiefs or whatever. And the gates they are talking about, I am amazed at it. What happens is, it is one person who started a dynasty. And if it is paternal, that person had about 4 kids or 2 kids or what. But they all belong to one family.
Yeah.
Chieftaincy is about legitimacy, 1, and suitability, 2. The person has to be a legitimate royal, and 2, the person has to be a suitable candidate. So, where because of development in the sense that there is childbirth, a lot of childbirth. Because of that reason, we have a lot of people, and for that matter, we create gates. It's creating serious confusion.
So let me take you back to two or one person starting a dynasty. Assuming this person, i.e. a woman, gives birth to 7 children, 3 are boys, so automatically they are ruled out if it's a matrilineal inheritance. But then automatically means that land has got 4 gates, because all the daughters' children now become legitimate to inherit this too.
It shouldn't be 4 gates. It should be 1 person, because if the woman is Enima, the name is Enima,
yes,
then it is Enima's gate. And Enima's gate will be having a lot of children, and all of them are legitimate. And we look for a suitable candidate from these legitimate children.
But in our setting, you tend to find out that even if Enima has, let's say a Jewa, and then has Dansua, and then has another Enima, and has, another Efua or something,
I'm saying, that it is wrong for us to have such gates.
Okay.
Yeah, these gates are creating confusion in modern times.
Okay. I understand.
We all belong to one system or one stock. And for that matter, I don't see why we should say there are gates, 4 gates, 3 gates, 2 gates, and that kind of thing. It should be one house. The elders will sit down, look amongst them, and say, this person, we have about 3 royals, but this person is more suitable, or the most suitable candidate for the stool. And it ends there. Because, excuse me, it is not a bench where 2 people can sit on the stool at the same time. It's only 1 person. So this struggle should stop.
But then, how do we then go back to, rewrite history? Because as we are now, we've lived with it till now, where almost every...
Whosoever brought that idea brought a very bad precedent.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be a canker that's going to destroy the very foundation of our chieftaincy.
So how do we go around it? Do we write?
We have to go back and say there was 1 person whose name was this. He had about 7 children, 4 of them were women, and all of them are royals. And they are not gates. But among the royals,
mm-hmm.
then whosoever becomes legitimate and suitable should be our leader.
Well, then, what then happens is, which brings the conflict, is that then each of the daughters want their child to go. So then I then find some fault that, your son, was in prison the other day, so he's not legitimate. My son is a doctor.
Somebody who is going to say, your son, the elders in the family should know who was imprisoned and who was not imprisoned. Who took somebody's wife, or who did or did what. We have a certain criteria for choosing a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to look at those things before they push that candidate to the kingmakers. And the kingmakers do the screening equally.
Well, now it's too late now. So what is the way forward? Because we've lived with it for the last hundreds and hundreds of years.
No, you see, it's of late that most of the dynasties are creating gates. There were no gates.
I see.
As time went by, then they started saying, this woman had 2 children, and therefore this gate and that gate. This woman had 4 children, this gate, that gate, that gate, that gate. But initially, they only had to look through the young men, someone who was brave, someone who could lead, provided he was legitimate, but not gates.
I see. But you still haven't given me a way forward.
I say we have to go back to say we had 1 person who brought forth all these children, and therefore, if you have to draw a family tree. The family tree is there. If you belong to the family tree, it means you are a royal. It means you are legitimate. If you are legitimate, then you have to be suitable. So look for the suitable candidate. That's all.
How will this be instigated? Through the paramountcy or?
Through the paramountcy, it should be done.
Let me come back to Eric. I still think it's a big challenge.
Yes, it's a challenge, but it's not a challenge. You see, an identification of where the challenge is 50% the problem solved. All these things should be done in accordance with relevant customary laws and usages. And we know that these things are not documented. That is where the challenge comes from. Now, when you look at the Chieftancy Act and even in the Constitution, they've given the National House of Chiefs, the Regional House of Chiefs, and the traditional councils the mandate to be able to document these customary usages and practices so that it will form the basis for decision making. You see, that is where the challenge is. So if the National House of Chiefs can be up and doing, pick up their mandate, round it with it, and then deliver on it, and then maybe commission the traditional councils and the regional House of Chiefs to start profiling or documenting the existing customary laws and usages within their areas of jurisdiction. That will be the beginning of solving the problem. It would interest you to know that the Constitution has given the traditional council, the regional House of Chiefs, the national House of Chiefs, the right to adjudicate in chieftaincy matters. But as of today, we don't have law reports on chieftaincy adjudicated matters. Whereas we have some for the Supreme Court, we have some for the other courts, we don't have that for the National House of Chiefs on chieftaincy matters. Now, when you have a situation like that, it becomes very difficult for even the Supreme Court judges to have a basis to even pronounce on a particular chieftaincy matter. So the National House of Chiefs and the relevant institutions should be up and doing it and start documenting the customary laws and usages that document these practices. In fact, if all these things had been documented, it would be very, very clear that this is what we have, this is what we need to do. But in the absence of documentation, people speculate and there is chaos. I believe these tension disputes, if they were to have documented it and the document is available, I mean, it will resolve the issue once and for all. So that is what we need to do as a nation. And I heard a project started. I don't know where the project ended. And typical of Ghana, the project may have been sponsored by an international financier, and then once the donor support ended, that is the end of the project. For how long can we continue to operate like this? Can't we commit resources to documenting customary laws and usages of all the traditional institutions, all the paramounts in Ghana, and then send it to the National House of Chiefs, and it will form the basis of their decision making? It is something that can help us. It is a huge task. If we are able to do it, we'll be able to resolve the issue.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to find out that if the government allocated resources to the chief and to the DCE, which one would get down to the old lady in that village, the grassroots, which will trickle down quicker? Stay tuned, we're coming straight back. Well, hello, and welcome back to the complicated matter of chieftaincy. And I am asking that if the state allocated money to a particular district, what should we do? Just look at the district and say, well, we have 5 chiefs in this area. He's got the biggest land, he's got the smallest land. So let's break up this money and give the larger chunk to the guy with the biggest land and go and develop your area. Now, will that money get to the grassroots? Indeed, will the development even go ahead? Or the chief is going to say, well, 30% of whatever comes into this land is mine, so I am grabbing it. Or do we leave it to the DCE and the assemblymen to see which is more effective, Eric? And I know it's a sensitive area I'm going, but which is more effective?
It is. In our local government system, let me tackle it from that angle. Resources are channeled through the local government, the district assembly, to the chief executive for development projects. And when you look at the constitution too, the students' revenue percentages goes to the chiefs and then also the local government. Interestingly, in most cases, the chief looks upon the district assemblies and the chief executive as the development agent. Reason being that they have allowed it to be so. What they need is they go to the chiefs for the land. So the chiefs are always prepared to release land. But for the local government, they are expected to incur the capital expenditure. And they make sure that that school is constructed, the teachers are there, the doctors are there, etc., etc. So real development from the point of view of governance, the citizens looks up more to the local government than to the chiefs. They look at the chief where they think it's all failed and they need somebody to put an external pressure on the local government to deliver. That is how governance has become. But indeed, some of the chiefs may also hold themselves as development agents. But with modern local governance, if you're a chief and you hold yourself as a development agent, you relegate the activities of the local government to the background. Because in our local government law, they are the overall, they are the supreme authority and the planning authority and development agent in any locality. Not even the members of parliament are development agents. It is the district assemblies that are. So if you put the question, if resources gets to the chiefs and the district assemblies, and which of them will get to the grassroots, I would say that of the local government. Just so because the law says so.
Okay, I'm going to speak to, I have Felix Longi on the line, sociology lecturer at UDS and has done extensive research in chieftaincy. Felix, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. If I got your name right, Nana.
Yes, Nana. We are talking.
I actually sympathize with your awkward position. You are a chief. You have to handle this awkward thing. I think I'm enjoying the show, and you are doing very well.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Felix, we've looked at whether we modernize this institution and keep it, scrap it all together. We're looking at the development side of it. Now, conflict. There's too many conflicts surrounding chieftaincy. Now, you've done extensive research. How can we minimize or stop this?
Okay. I nearly forgot, but before I go ahead, let me make a slight correction with your permission.
Yes.
I'm not a lecturer in sociology.
Okay.
I'm actually a research fellow, and I'm a trained historian.
Okay.
I only do research related to chieftaincy and conflicts in northern Ghana.
Well, you're very, very welcome to this show because I need you.
Oh, okay. All right. So back to your question, whether we still need chieftaincy or scrape it or whatever. I think your panel there,
yes,
one-man panel there, has actually done a lot of good job to it. And then the first person you talked to also actually hit the nail on the head. We cannot do without chieftaincy in spite of its numerous problems that we are facing in today's world. Nobody can actually rule out the important role that chiefs have been playing since pre-colonial, colonial, and even modern day, whether we are in the 21st century or whatever. And one main reason why we can't do without chieftaincy is that in spite of the fact that in modern day governance system and politics, we are under the rule of our elected representatives from the president downwards to the MP and the DC. Maybe hopefully one day we'll elect DC. But whether we like or not, we have the president, but citizens and natives are in daily contact with the chief rather than even their elected representatives. They are in tune with the daily problems that the people face. Right from colonial to post-colonial era, the chiefs solve problems from judicial, administrative, even currently they still solve problems. So it's a chief that they see every day. They approach the chief with all kinds of problems. And in modern day governance, particularly the traditional, the local government structure, the role of the chief cannot be overemphasized. Let me use this elementary expression.
Okay, Felix, let me go to another very sensitive area, and I think with this issue, I want everybody to comment on it, is chiefs and partisan politics. Now, if I'm a chief in a particular area and there's political campaign going on, MPP says, I'm going to give you free education. The NDC says, I'm going to give you industrialization. Now, I live in an area where I feel, oh, no, in this area, I think we need free education. The other chief will think, oh, no, we are close to Tema, so industrialization will benefit us. Can't I advise my people, look, let's go this way because industrialization is better for us or free education is better for us? I mean, why can't we get involved?
Well, I'm glad you use the word advice, not order or instruct people to go this way. The chief's role actually, particularly in the local level when it comes to politics, is supposed to be more of an advisory, it has to rest at the advisory level. And I earlier on stated that the people listen more to the chief than even the politicians. So, if a chief decides, looking at the programs presented by different political parties, and also looking at the challenges that face them at the local level, and tying it to their priorities, decides that why don't we, on a scale of something, so go for this first, maybe education. Probably that will inure to our benefit than maybe the other way around. I don't think that amounts to maybe politicking.
Okay, hold on there, Eric. I mean what do you think? I mean, I look at my people, they're desperately in need of school. They are constantly coming to me, Nana, I want, money for fees. I want money for registry. I'm thinking, well, then go and vote this, because this will solve my problem. The other guy is also thinking, you're constantly coming to me for, I need work, we need work. And this party is saying, look, I'm bringing industrialization. So, look, let's vote this way so that I'm tired of you coming to me, for work. You
see, on account of the position, the way we revered our chieftaincy institution, I would not expect a chief to openly come out and comment by saying that vote along these lines. I would expect the chief to find a way of presenting it to his people. That, look, let us find a way of getting this particular thing. A chief that comes out clearly to say that vote for this particular political party, because that particular political party is likely to bring us this particular thing. You are being involved in active party politics. But the challenge there is that in our current constitution, what is meant by active party politics is not clearly defined. And the issue came up during the Constitution Review Commission that we need clarity on that. What actually constitutes a chief being involved actively in party politics? The government white paper on the Constitution Review Commission's report has accepted it, and it has defined it as openly and personally joining or taking part in the activities of a political party by wearing their paraphernalia and associating with the executive and members of that party, mounting party platforms to galvanize support for that particular party. Then you ask yourself, if a chief comes out to say that, look, vote for this particular political party because that political party will bring this particular development, would it amount to actively being involved in political parties? If a chief is appointed a minister, is the chief actively involved in political party? If the chief is appointed a chair of a particular state board, is the chief actively involved in political party? We need to look at it well. But in my view is that you are a unifier, you are revered, you shouldn't take sides. You are expected to communicate to your people in such a way that it will not be seen as if you have taken sides.
Nana, have I still got you?
Yeah.
Yes, Nana, what is wrong with you coming out on your forecourt and telling your people that, listen, we are desperately in need of agric. This guy is promising us, to boost agriculture. So, when you go to the ballot box, think twice so that we can boost agriculture.
Well, this is my personal opinion. The moment a chief openly goes out to say, do this for this party because the party has the potential of doing this for the community, will do a lot of harm to you, the chief, because not all the people in your area would accept, the fact that you want them to vote for a particular party. And by that, your grassroots support will be loosened. You wouldn't have grace over your people again. Should the other party you campaign against win, you never get any support. And you can't control your people again because they will see you as very partisan. So it will be in the interest of every chief, irrespective of, where you are, to remain very neutral. If you want to have a control or full grip over your people, governments will come and go, but you will stay forever. And you don't have to create the atmosphere where there will be a division of your own people against you. It will even amount to your dismissal one day.
Let me get Felix here. Felix, is this because as a people we are sort of politically illiterate, and we think that, oh no, it's either for me or against me. And that's why this idea would come about, because if we understood that it's just sharing of ideas and his idea is different than mine, then the latter would have been ideal.
The politics of this country, with your apology, the understanding is totally different from the Western world.
Am I the one online?
Insulting the intelligence of our people. But let me tell you, they see politics as a different ballgame altogether in Ghana here. It is life and death. You win and take it all, or get something from it. You lose and you die. That is it.
Let me get hold on. Let me get Felix in here. Felix, I just wanted to find out, this idea of staying neutral. Is it because of the general understanding or lack of understanding of politics? That's why the chief is supposed to stay neutral?
It is lack of understanding.
No, hold on. I want to get Felix in here. Okay, Felix, you're on there. Yes, Felix, take.
All right. The gentleman again with you has actually made a point. The issue is dicey. It's not because people don't know what to do or whatever. It's because, as we all, probably the two of us agree, the chieftain institution is a very revered institution. One of the panelists also indicated governments come and go, but the chieftaincy institution continues, that the chief will always be there. Unfortunately, unlike the politician, a chief once installed cannot be distilled until he dies, except under certain other conditions. So you have to be very careful what you say to your subjects. But again, you cannot run away from the fact that you need to play that leadership role, because people keep coming to you. You yourself, you have indicated, people come to you for various things, jobs, water, education, and all that. So what the chief cannot run away from is to guide is to indicate. It may be subtle. You cannot come out clearly to say, do this or do that or do that. But you can indicate by actually enabling them to understand the priorities. You prioritize your development needs. And depending on what is put on the table by the various politicians, you say, okay, this is what, or all of them will even agree that we need education, or we need water, or we need jobs. Then they will sway this way, even without the chief telling them, go and vote this and that and that. And I don't think that is a big deal.
Okay.
No.
Eric, now we're going to move on to remuneration of chiefs. Does it in any way mean that then the chief has to be nice to the paymaster? Otherwise, then your pay is not going to come, or does it affect us in any way? Actually, hold on. Let me take one quick break, and then we'll come back and do chiefs. So you guys stay on the line. We're looking at how chiefs are paid. We're taking a quick break, and then when we come back, we find out if it affects your style of ruling in any way. Stay tuned. Well, hello and welcome back. We are talking about chieftaincy, the disputes in it, and how we can make it peaceful and attractive and modernized. In the last 15 minutes, I want to look at how chiefs are paid. Does it affect their way of ruling in terms of his reaction to the paymaster? And also, should there be a national minimum standard that you must at least have learned some sociology, some psychology, some land planning, land economy. So at least the basics of it to be able to become a chief. So that even if you are a doctor or a lawyer, before you become a chief, you need to check out into a university for 6 months and come out with some, basic sociology, psychology, and particularly land economic, so that you know how to sell your land and think that, this land is big. I need to reserve somewhere for a bank. I need to reserve somewhere for the fire service. Before you become a chief, is it feasible? Eric, we'll start with, paying of a chief.
Yes.
Does he get compromised in any way, or?
Well, Nana, you see, we should look at how the chieftaincy institutions itself came to be part of the mainstream national level institutions. Because before you pay them, you're using the national resources. And if you are using national resources, you should be recognized by the laws of the country. Chieftaincy institutions like the National House of Chiefs first started from the office of the president. They were located at the office of the president. We have presidential staffers of chieftaincy, etc. So what it means is that their budget was part of the presidency. Then a ministry of chieftaincy was created in 2006 by the previous administration. Then this current administration has also created it. The issue of remuneration has come up time and again, but it is restricted to only the National House of Chiefs and the Regional House of Chiefs. Whether or not it compromises their stance is another matter, and that's the question you've put. In my view, I would say that there is a yes and a no. The yes, because...
Which is bigger?
I think the yes is bigger. The yes
okay.
is bigger. The yes is bigger. The yes is bigger because, well, the National House of Chiefs presents a budget. The budget is presented to executive. The executive have the right to say that, look, this budget is too big, we can't pay. And indeed, at the recent Constitution Review Commission's report, there was a recommendation that the National House of Chiefs and the Regional House of Chiefs should draw funds from a proposed fund to be created. And the government has accepted it in principle. Can you imagine what would have happened? The government said, look, this recommendation should be shut down. I mean, it will be suicidal, I mean, by the government's own interpretation. So the yes is that, one, it is likely to compromise them. Again, on run down to the elections, people heard, I mean, we all read in the papers that four-wheel drive vehicles were given to the National House of Chiefs, etc., etc., etc. People read all kinds of meanings into it. You can align it to the remuneration of chiefs, and you ask yourself that, do we have to continue to reward them in that manner, or we should allow the other institutions at the local level to do that? Once we have mainstreamed them, my position is that we should continue to remunerate them. But in an attempt to remunerate them, we should document the processes, especially the customary laws and usages, so that it would become a good thing to do. Now, the National House of Chiefs, they have developed a royal code of ethics. What it means is that now they have set certain minimal standards for chieftaincy institution or chiefs to comply with. So now, the other, I was asking my question, has it become a profession? Because I know that code of ethics applies more to professions than institutions of this nature. Those are the other debates we need to go into. But my view is that if we don't manage it well, it will end up compromising the positions of the chiefs. Okay,
I'll go to Felix. Felix, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Felix,
I'm enjoying the program.
Thank you very much. Felix, what I want to find out from you is, if you lower your TV set or your medium for me.
Is that okay?
Yes, I think so. Thank you very much. Now, what I want to find out from you is, should we set a minimum standard of which one can become a chief? That you must have learned at least land economy, study some humanity, so you know how to deal with people, whether you're a lawyer, doctor, whatever you are, before you become a chief. Should we have in our attempt to modernize it, should we throw in something like that?
Well, first of all, what we have to ask ourselves is, are we seeing a deficiency in terms of the performance of the chiefs? Or is in response to the problems we are having in the chieftaincy institution, like the conflict that we are seeing?
Felix, I'm still getting feedback. If you can lower your set for me. I'm still getting feedback.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right. Are you okay?
Yes, I think so.
Right.
Yeah, let's go.
I was asking, if we are to respond or react to or address the challenges in the form of the few conflicts that we have, that for me will be a welcome thing. Such that chiefs, either before the person becomes a chief or as soon as the person becomes a chief, I mean, there's some kind of orientation. It can be either 3 months or 6. And I think periodically these things have been going on as time for correction. But something like that probably will help them to be able to either avoid or preempt the conflicts, the many conflicts that we are having.
Felix, let me come here. You see, the chiefs will go through orientation in terms of when they beat the drums this way, this is what it means. You have to wear your cloth that way. When you see this sign, it means this. You know, so you're going through more like the protocols of tradition. But things like when you sell 1 acre land, you must leave a space for school, or those things. It doesn't get that far.
Okay. Well, in that case, yes. I think the gentleman in the studio again talked about some initiatives. If I heard him right, something called Royal College or something.
Yeah.
It is in the right direction, but I would recommend that Royal College should not be centered in Accra. It should be decentralized to all the regions, the 10 regions at least, to start with, so that the personnel or those with the skills from Ministry of Local Government or from the National House of Chiefs, the head office in Accra, can go run those courses at the regional level. And such courses should be tailored to suit the particular nature of the traditions of every area, but it shouldn't be a blanket type of course. Of course, that will give them, like you suggested, the rudiments of having to handle issues of land, issues of planning, issues of conflict, and all other issues that will go to promote development and peace, which we are all yearning for.
Now, Semenshi, are you there?
Yes.
One thing which causes conflict alone is land demarcation, and this is my land because my grandmother said it, my grandfather told me that, we used to weed up to near the Dikodi, and that is our land border. Now, should the state claim all lands and just let the king rule on it and tell you, if you are going to sell this portion, it's a school. If you're going to sell that portion, it's a farm. If you're going to sell this portion, it's a fire service office. And then, maybe they will reduce the conflict.
I don't believe a total claim by government of lands will be appropriate. Because already whatever is going to the government now by way of land rent, just a minimum is given to the district administration. The district administration also gives a small percentage to the tribal councils, and that it ends there. But if the government will find a mechanism whereby a greater chunk of the money will be sent to the tribal councils for development, I don't think it would have been bad. Because what we are seeing now, like if I take a Akomu State, for example, most of the lands have been taken by government, and what do we see? Nothing. So the precedent here is, because previous lands were taken and nothing was given back to the state, wouldn't augur well for us to say we shall allow, or we want the government to take all lands and maybe plan or demarcate areas for fire service land, football field, airfield, and whatever.
Well, that's a good one, because I was just kind of like, it would have solved conflict. But then if past experience means that governments have taken lands and haven't compensated properly, then the trust is broken.
It has. And what I would want to add to it is that, you see, at the local level, the district assembly, through the town and country planning, they are the planning authorities, and they can zone and rezone. If they don't work closely with the traditional authorities, the chiefs may end up leasing or selling a particular land to a particular estate developer. The assembly can also rezone it and say that this area is not a residential area. Then the conflict begins. So you need the two parties to coexist. But as you rightly said, there is lack of trust because of a precedent, and we need to work around that and then make sure that the confidence reposed in government comes back again as expected.
I'll come to Felix. Felix, what can we do to make Chieftancy appealing to the 16-year-old boy who's dancing Azonto?
That's a tough one. You know that not everybody can become chief.
No. Just make the institution appealing to them.
Oh, Okay.
Because that boy doesn't find anything wrong with Queen Elizabeth. He thinks that, oh, Queen Elizabeth is fine. But as soon as you say Nana Nsakwa, it's like, that's not quite attractive.
Yes, my straightforward answer is for us to sanitize the institution. Maybe it sounds too much of a summary, but you understand what I mean. Sanitize it, make it, let young men know the relevance of it. Otherwise, like what we are seeing today, people already see making suggestions that chieftaincy has become outmoded and all that. And I believe that it is because such people make such comments because they have not been able to appreciate the important role that the institution plays. So what we have to do is to make the institution attractive, sanitize it, and let people continue to see its relevance in today's governance system and in today's politics and whatever.
Now, Sebenshi, I mean, you literally live and run Bujare Palace, which is the Akwemufie Palace. So you are directly there. I mean, what are you doing to sort of make it attractive so that the young ones don't find it that there's heathenism or some occultism going on there?
I mean, chieftaincy is made easy in Akwamu. And what I'm saying is, I will advise chiefs to position themselves void of partisan politics and show good leadership that they want to help develop their own areas by setting out their priorities at the traditional council level. And when they do that, I have already said, politicians come and go, but chiefs stay forever till they die. So when we position ourselves properly, and we are not bootlickers, because we want to be a chairman of such committees, a chairman of this board, chairman of that board, and therefore we bow to governments even if they are doing the wrong thing, I think people will respect chieftaincy.
Well, Nasebenshia, thank you very much. And Felix Longi, thank you very much. Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nana.
Viewers, as you see, I get to keep my job. Right? All I need to do is just modernize chieftaincy a bit and everything will be fine. I mean, I wish there's a part 2 of this. The producers bring a part 2 of this because there's so many aspects to this. I mean, what is our contribution towards education? And indeed, with ICT coming, are we abreast with ICT to impact it to, people in the community? Because that is the world today. The child in Edumasa is competing with the child in Hong Kong. And that's the world today. Are we keeping up with time? Thank you very much, Eric Odro Osai in the studio with me, Dean of Studies and Research of Institute of Local Government Studies. It's been an insightful discussion, and as I always say, my name is Nana Nsakwa, the 4th, and tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thank you very much for watching.